The moment you realize you've been prey your entire life is one of the most disturbing awakenings a human can go through. You think you've been living with free will. You think you've been making your own choices. But what if I told you someone else was always ahead of you? Someone already predicted your next move. Someone already knew what you'd say, how you'd react, what you'd fear. And they used it. They used it to advance, to win, to dominate. While you were trying to be fair, kind, and patient, they were hunting. And you were being hunted.
Click subscribe to this channel to get more profound insights.
This is the foundation of Machiavelli's law, hunt or be hunted. It's not a metaphor, it's not a literary device, it's a law, a brutal psychological reality that governs every boardroom, every relationship, every battlefield, whether you realize it or not. Machiavelli warned us centuries ago, he who is the cause of another becoming powerful is ruined. Why? Because in this game, the weak exist to serve the strong. And the strong exist because they decided to stop being prey. The world isn't evil, it's indifferent. And indifference rewards strategy, not emotion. It rewards movement, not morality. So let me ask you something that will shake you. How many times have you empowered someone who later used that power against you? How many times did you show your loyalty, your softness, your truth, only to be outplayed by someone who never had the same intentions? That wasn't an accident. That wasn't bad luck. That was you, living as prey in a world of predators. And Machiavelli would look you in the eyes and say, you were warned. We live in a society that says, play nice, be kind, wait your turn. But the truth is, power doesn't wait. Power doesn't ask. Power doesn't apologize. It moves. It takes. And it doesn't look back. What Machiavelli understood, what most modern thinkers are too afraid to admit, is that those who hesitate are consumed. Those who pause to think about how others will feel are left behind. The lion cannot protect himself from traps, and the fox cannot defend himself from wolves. One must therefore be a fox to recognize traps, and a lion to frighten wolves. That's the formula. You hunt with strategy and you strike with force. Now, let me take you somewhere darker. Imagine a world where you flipped the roles. Imagine a life where you became the one who anticipates, not reacts, the one who manipulates, not pleads, the one who creates fear, not absorbs it. That transformation isn't just possible, it's necessary. Because if you're not hunting, someone is hunting you. It could be a boss, a partner, a competitor, a so-called friend. Someone is watching your patterns, your insecurities, your blind spots. And if you don't see them first, they'll exploit you. So what does it mean to hunt in the Machiavellian sense? It doesn't mean cruelty, it means calculation. It means being emotionally detached enough to make decisions that serve your elevation, not your comfort. It means seeing people not only for who they are, but for what they could become if left unchecked. It means handling threats early, quietly, without drama, because the best hunters don't scream. They don't bark, they move in silence, and by the time the prey realizes what's happening, it's already over. You must become fluent in reading power dynamics. You must see through smiles, through compliments, through partnerships. Every alliance has a risk. Every relationship has a hierarchy. And if you're not setting the terms, you're being set on by the terms. Machiavelli said, A wise ruler ought never to keep faith when by doing so it would be against his interests. That sounds harsh, but it's reality. People will break faith with you the moment it serves them. The question is, will you see it coming, or will you be shocked again? You see, the problem is not that people are evil. The problem is that you expect them to act outside of their own self-interest. And when they don't, you call it betrayal. But Machiavelli knew better. He knew that humans are predictable if you study them long enough. He knew that most people are driven by fear, desire, ego, and security. If you understand these drives, you can control them. You can lead them where you want. You can make them think it was their idea. That's hunting. That's influence. That's power. But it gets even deeper. Hunting isn't just about people. It's about time. It's about opportunity. It's about seeing 10 steps ahead while others are still waking up. Most people live in reaction. They wait to be told what to do. They wait for the right moment. But Machiavellian thinkers create moments. They don't wait for power. They position themselves for it, quietly, strategically, and when the opportunity arises, they strike so quickly, so effectively, that no one even realizes what happened until it's too late. Now think, how many opportunities have you missed because you were waiting for permission? How many times did you watch someone else grab the spotlight, win the promotion, take the credit, while you sat frozen in fear or niceness? That is the prey mindset, and it ends today. You must stop asking, is this fair, and start asking, does this move me forward? You must stop worrying about how others will perceive your ambition and start fearing what will happen if you don't act on it. Machiavelli wasn't encouraging evil, he was encouraging awareness. He was teaching us to stop assuming the world will reward good intentions. It doesn't. It rewards execution. It rewards those who understand human nature and use it, not exploit it, but use it. And here's the most radical truth. If you don't use it, someone will use you. Because in every room, there's a hunter, and there's prey. And if you can't tell which one you are, you're already prey. So how do we shift? How do we transform from hunted to hunter? First, we study, we observe, we become obsessed with patterns. We look for weakness, not to mock it, but to leverage it. We stop speaking so much and start listening, because the more someone talks, the more they reveal. The more comfortable people get around you, the more you learn what motivates them, what scares them, what they're hiding, and that information, that's your arsenal. That's your silent weapon. As Machiavelli said, the promise given was a necessity of the past. The word broken is a necessity of the present. In other words, adapt, evolve, and never let outdated loyalty keep you weak. Second, we control our image. How others perceive you determines how they treat you. If they see you as soft, they will test you. If they see you as desperate, they will use you. If they see you as unsure, they will ignore you. You must craft a presence that says, I see everything. I forget nothing. I need no one. That energy alone changes how people approach you. Fear doesn't have to be loud. It can be quiet, elegant, but it must be felt. Now look around you. Who is hunting you quietly? Who benefits from your silence, your hesitation, your kindness? Who smiles at you in public but mocks you in private? Who would take your position if you slipped up once? You already know the answer. The question is, Will you act on it? Or will you wait until they've taken everything? Once you accept that you've been living in a world of predators, your mind begins to sharpen. Your vision changes. You stop looking at people as friends or enemies. You start looking at them as players. And every player has a strategy, even if they don't know it. Every smile, every compliment, every favor, every silence, it all has meaning. The game isn't personal, it's psychological. And if you don't learn to read the board, you'll keep making moves that serve someone else's win condition. This is the brutal truth Machiavelli knew. It is double pleasure to deceive the deceiver, because in the end, those who play to survive are devoured by those who play to win. Let's talk about survival. Most people think they're surviving because they're still breathing, but Machiavelli would say that survival without power is just a slow death. You're not alive, you're just tolerated. You're not respected, you're just not a threat. And in the real world, if you're not a threat to someone, you're a tool for someone. That's the shape of the map. Predators don't just look for meat, they look for use. And if you're useful but unaware, you're a walking resource, a pawn who thinks they're safe because the board hasn't moved yet. But Machiavellian psychology teaches us to see what isn't said, to feel the pressure before it becomes danger, to anticipate betrayal before it happens. That's what separates the hunter from the hunted. The hunted only feels fear when the teeth are already at their throat. The hunter senses movement before the grass even rustles. The hunted reacts. The hunter reads. And if you want to rewrite your position in life, you must become a reader of human nature. Not just what people do, but what they want, what they fear, what they hide, what they regret, because that's where leverage lives. So ask yourself, what do the people around you truly fear? Not what they say they fear, what they really fear. Is it rejection, exposure, failure, irrelevance? Figure this out and you hold the strings, not to manipulate, but to navigate. Because power isn't always about dominance. Sometimes it's about guidance, controlling the flow without anyone realizing you're in charge. That's the Machiavellian art, the art of invisibility, the art of being the architect, not the actor, the one who sets the rules, not the one who plays by them. And here's the most paradoxical part. The best hunters don't always look like hunters. They look harmless, they look agreeable, they look passive. That's how they survive long enough to become dangerous. Machiavelli said, a wise man ought to adopt such a course that when the occasion demands, he can vary from the path of virtue and do evil. Translation: be adaptable, be fluid, be prepared to do what others won't when the moment demands it. Not because you're cruel, but because you're focused. And focus in a world of distraction is more terrifying than aggression. You must also understand the psychology of timing. Hunting is not constant attacking, it's waiting. Most people blow their chances because they fire too early or they wait too long. They get emotional, they try to win arguments instead of wars. But a true strategist knows when to speak, when to strike, and when to disappear. Disappearing is one of the greatest Machiavellian weapons, not because you vanish forever, but because you create the illusion of absence. You remove yourself to increase your value, you let others overextend, you let them underestimate, and when they've dropped their guard, that's when you return. How we live is so different from how we ought to live that he who studies what ought to be done rather than what is done will learn the way to his downfall rather than to his preservation. That's the Machiavellian code. Don't focus on how people should behave. Focus on how they do behave. This shift will change your life. You'll stop being disappointed. You'll stop being blindsided. You'll stop being prey because you'll finally see the jungle for what it is, not a community but a battlefield, not a society but a simulation, one where power is the only true currency. But let's go deeper. Let's talk about emotional armor. If you're going to hunt, you need to protect your mind. Guilt, shame, victimhood, these are emotions designed to keep you weak. They are useful for others, not for you. They keep you apologizing for your ambition. They keep you questioning your boldness. They keep you from making the moves that would set you free. And the more emotionally reactive you are, the easier you are to trap. You'll be baited, provoked, played, because your emotions are levers, and someone is always watching for the right one to pull. This is why Machiavelli warned, the vulgar crowd always is taken by appearances, and the world consists chiefly of the vulgar. Appearances matter, but emotional control matters more. You can't just look strong. You must be unshakable. That means you don't flinch when threatened. You don't explain when accused. You don't chase when ignored. You hold your position. You let silence do the speaking. And when the time is right, you strike. Not in anger, but in clarity. Because the hunter doesn't kill out of rage. The hunter kills out of necessity. So ask yourself again, when was the last time you acted out of clarity instead of emotion? When was the last time you moved because it made sense, not because you were scared or angry or desperate? That is the line, that is the test, and most fail it. Most people are still reacting to wounds from years ago, still trying to prove something, still trying to be seen. But the hunter doesn't need to be seen. The hunter only needs to see. And what he sees is everything you miss when you live in reaction. Let's talk about alliances. Machiavelli taught that alliances are temporary. They are tools, not truths. Don't fall in love with loyalty, fall in love with leverage. If someone helps you rise, thank them, but never forget, they helped you because it helped them. The moment your rise threatens their position, they will pull away. Or worse, they will turn. That's not betrayal. That's nature. And wise men don't resent nature, they adapt to it. You must be willing to walk away from anyone, at any time, if it means protecting your position. Not out of hate, out of strategy. Because in the world of power, stability is an illusion. Everyone is watching everyone. Everyone is calculating, even those who smile at you, even those who praise you, maybe especially those. The hunted don't understand this. They think compliments are truth, but the hunter knows. Every word is currency. Every gesture is a test. And every alliance is a risk. So tell me now, are you willing to act when everyone else hesitates? Are you willing to become the one they whisper about, the one they never quite understand but always respect? If not, understand this, someone else is. Right now, while you're still debating whether it's right to protect yourself, someone else is planning how to replace you. Someone else is watching your moves, studying your habits, preparing their strike. That's the world Machiavelli saw, not the world we wish existed. The world that does. And in that world, you must choose. Hunt or be hunted. There comes a point in this journey, this transformation from prey into predator, where you realize the real war isn't out there, it's inside. It's not just about outsmarting others, it's about outsmarting the old you, the version of yourself that hesitated, that apologized, that waited for permission, that lived in the illusion that fairness would protect you. That version has to die, because as long as it lives, you will always be vulnerable. The real predator isn't just physically powerful, they are psychologically untouchable. They've buried every trace of the prey they once were, and in its place, precision, presence, power. Machiavelli understood this inner war. He wrote, "It must be considered that there is nothing more difficult to carry out, nor more doubtful of success, nor more dangerous to handle than to initiate a new order of things." That's what you're doing. You're initiating a new order within yourself. You're rewriting your identity, and that is terrifying. Not just to others, but to your own mind. Because your mind wants safety, hilarity. But power doesn't live there. Power lives in uncertainty, in risk, in the willingness to do what most people avoid: change. So let's go into the mechanics of how hunters operate. First, they do not reveal their intentions. They move in shadows. They smile in plain sight, but their minds are calculating in silence. The hunted always show their cards. They're eager, they over-explain, they seek approval. But the hunter? The hunter knows that mystery is leverage, that silence is control, that being unreadable is more terrifying than being loud. You don't have to raise your voice when your reputation enters the room before you do. And that reputation must be built on results, not noise, not potential, not promises, just results. Every time you execute without emotion, every time you walk away without a word, every time you hold your ground when others fold, you're building it, brick by brick, a silent empire of respect. And respect rooted in fear lasts longer than affection rooted in comfort, because people may love you today and abandon you tomorrow, but fear makes them think twice, every time. But let's be clear, we're not talking about fear based on abuse. We're talking about fear based on presence, on the unshakable energy of someone who does not beg, does not chase, and does not fold. Someone who can walk away from any deal, any person, any comfort zone, and never look back. That level of detachment is rare, and rare is feared. Which brings us to one of the most important aspects of the Machiavellian hunter: detachment from identity. You must not fall in love with your image. You must not become addicted to being seen a certain way, because the moment you do, you become predictable, and predictability is prey behavior. The hunter adapts constantly. He can be charming one moment and cold the next. He can play the fool to disarm you and reveal the sword when it's too late. He is not loyal to personality, he is loyal to strategy. So ask yourself, are you willing to let go of who you think you are in order to become who you need to be? Are you willing to become the version of yourself that doesn't flinch, doesn't explain, doesn't apologize for being powerful? If not, the world will continue to define your role for you, and you will continue to suffer under the illusion that you're being good when reality, you're being used. This is why Machiavelli didn't trust idealists. He respected realists. People who see the world not as it should be, but as it is. And the world is a jungle. It's full of smiling predators, full of people who pretend to help while quietly positioning themselves to take what's yours. And if you can't see this, if you're still operating on trust alone, you have no defense. You can't defend against what you refuse to see. That's why awareness is your greatest weapon. Awareness is what turns the hunted into the hunter. But awareness without action is useless. Once you see the game, you must play it. You must start thinking 3 steps ahead. You must begin to anticipate behavior. You must set traps, not just to catch others, but to reveal them, give them rope, let them speak, let them show their true face. The more you stay quiet, the more they expose themselves. And when they do, you act. Not out of emotion, but out of calculation. That's how you win without fighting. That's how you dominate without ever raising your voice. Machiavelli didn't just teach manipulation, he taught mastery. Mastery of perception, mastery of timing, mastery of the human heart. He understood that people want to belong, to be accepted, to be seen. And if you can control those needs, you can control almost anyone. But first, you must control them in yourself. You must stop needing validation. You must stop needing to be liked. You must stop needing to be understood, because those needs are chains, and hunters don't wear chains. Here's another brutal truth. You don't get power without taking it from someone else. That's what most people don't understand. Power is not given, it's seized. And every time you hesitate, every time you ask for permission, every time you wait for the world to recognize you, you're giving your power away. The hunter doesn't wait for recognition. He takes his place, quietly, relentlessly. And by the time the world notices, it's too late to stop him. So let's make this practical. What does it look like to live as a hunter? It means you walk into every room with the awareness that everyone in there is playing a role. You study, you listen, you don't react to provocations, you don't reveal your plans, you don't waste energy on convincing. You speak only when it moves the game forward, you align with people only when it benefits your position, and you detach the moment that alignment becomes a threat to your sovereignty. It means you build power in silence. You train in private. You prepare while others party. You sharpen your mind while others scroll. And when the time comes, you execute so cleanly, so quickly, that people call it luck. But it was never luck. It was design, and Machiavelli would nod in approval, because he knew the wise man does at once what the fool does at last. This is not a lifestyle for everyone. Most people are not built for it. They want comfort, they want community, they want to be liked. But if you're hearing this now, it's because something inside you is done with being prey. Something inside you is ready to take what's yours and not just survive, but dominate. Not just exist, but rule. So I'll leave you with one final question, and I want you to sit with it. Don't answer it quickly. Let it haunt you. Let it become your compass. What version of yourself are you afraid to become because you know they'd be unstoppable? You already know the answer. You've seen glimpses of that version, in silence, in rage, in clarity. They're waiting for you. The hunter is already inside you. All you have to do is let him out.